Chapter 1. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. So first of all, we should stop here and we should analyze things about this sentence. Most of the critics say that this sentence is ironical, that the man with the good fortune uh, is not uh, is not is not finding a good is not trying to find a good wife. But is this really so? uh, this is ironical if we say in the perspective of 18th century. In 18th century, the main focus of the people, especially the women, was to get married, and they wanted to cross the ladder of class by using that marriage. That was the main context of the 18th century when this novel was written. But if we look deeper into the sentence, then can we just say that it is ironical that only women want to find a man who has large possession? Is it just women who want that? I think this is not entirely true, because the men who have good fortune, they also weigh women. They also like to find women who are of good quality, who do not they do not want someone who just get their wealth and then spend it on her extravagant lifestyle. They don't want that kind of a woman. So this is true for the man as well. A man who has a large possession also wants a woman who can who can fit into her society, who can fit into her standards, who can fit into her moral value as well. So we should talk about both, about men and about women. We must not just talk about women, that they want a man with a good possession. We must not talk about women. We must talk about men as well, who are in the search of a good woman as well. But in 18th century, most of the time, the mothers of the virgin women or the bachelor women, they were in search of good men. So we will consider both perspectives in this novel, not just one perspective that only women are after men. Men are also after women. So we will continue our novel. However little known the feelings or views of such a man may be on his first entering a neighborhood, this truth is so well fixed in the minds of the surrounding families that he is considered as the rightful property of someone or other of their daughters. So, as we know that this novel is set centuries ago, so yeah, most of the women, they when they see not just most of the women at in that those centuries, even nowadays, when people see a wealthy man, they consider him as just theirs. They consider him as their rightful property. It is not just right for those centuries, it is right for today's time as well. My dear Mr. Bennet, said his lady to him one day, have you heard that Netherfield Park is let at last? Mr. Bennet replied that he had not. But it is, returned she, for Mrs. Long has just been here and she told me all about it. Mr. Bennet made no answer. Do not you want to know who has taken it? Cried his wife impatiently. You want to tell me, and I have no objection to hearing it. You know, in this sentence, there is so much about character. We know so much about both of their characters. First of all, you want to tell me. He knows that his wife wants to tell him something. He knows that his wife is not good at keeping secrets. He knows that. He knows that. That's why he is saying that you want to tell me. You want to tell me. You want, and I have no objection to hearing it. If you want to tell me because you can't keep secrets, I know that you are that kind of lady and I have no objection to hearing it. So it tells us the character of both people, one who is a secretive person and the other one who can't keep secrets. This was invitation enough. Why, my dear, you must know, Mrs. Long says that Netherfield is taken by a young man of large fortune from the north of England, that he came down on Monday in a chaise and four to see the place, and was so much delighted with it that he agreed with Mr. Morris immediately, and he is to take possession before Michaelmas, and some of his servants are to be in the house by the end of next week. What is his name? Bingley. Is he married or single? Oh, single, my dear, to be sure. A single man of large fortune, 4 or 5 thousand a year. What a fine thing for our girls. So here we when she is saying a single man of large fortune, 4 or 5 thousand a year, what a fine thing for our girls. This is actually motherly love, because she loves her daughters so much that she wants them to get married to a wealthy man. She doesn't want them to get married on the basis of other things. She wants to get married them on the basis of economy, because in that era um, economic e- um, economic stability was very very important in that era for women, especially because that was not a feminist era, that was a patriarchal era. So in patriarchal era, women needed money to secure themselves. Then next we start. How so? How can it affect them? My dear Mr. Bennet, replied his wife, how can you be so tiresome? You must know that I am thinking of his marrying one of them. Is that his design in settling here? Design? Nonsense. How can you talk so? But it is very likely that he may fall in love with one of them, and therefore you must visit him as soon as he comes. I see no occasion for that. You and the girls may go, or you may send them by themselves, which perhaps will be still better. For as you are as handsome as many of them, Mr. Bingley might like you the best of the party. My dear, you flatter me. I certainly have had my share of beauty, but I do not pretend to be anything extraordinary now. When a woman has 5 grown-up daughters, she ought to give over thinking of her own beauty. You know, in this in these sentences, she tells what a great duty it is to have actually 5 daughters. That a mother who has four or five daughters in that era can't even take care of herself because she was so busy because she was so busy in arranging their life or in organizing their life or making their life better that she didn't have any time for herself. In patriarchal era, women don't have much time for themselves. In such cases, a woman has not often much beauty to think of. But my dear, you must indeed go and see Mr. Bingley when he comes into the neighborhood. It is more than I engage for, I assure you. But consider your daughters. Only think what an establishment it would be for one of them. Sir William and Lady Lucas are determined to go, merely on that account. For in general, you know, they visit no newcomers. Indeed, you must go, for it will be impossible for us to visit him if you do not. You are very scrupulous, surely. I dare say Mr. Bingley will be very glad to see you, and I will send a few lines by you to assure him of my hearty consent to his marrying whichever he chooses of the girls. Though I must throw in a good word for my little Lizzie. Now here she is concerned about Lizzie, and and in the and in the novel when we read further, then we will know why she is so concerned about little Lizzie. I desire you will do not such thing. Lizzie is not a bit better than the others, and I am sure she is not half so handsome as Jane, nor half so good humored as Lydia, but you are always giving her the preference. They have none of them much to recommend them, replied he. They are all silly and ignorant like other girls, but Lizzie has something more of quickness than her sisters. You know, she was when we read it before, we read that her mother was concerned about Lizzie, but her father was never concerned about Lizzie because he saw some qualities in Lizzie that others never possessed. He is saying they are silly and ignorant like other girls. His other daughters are silly and ignorant. They are stupid. They don't know much about the world. They don't know much about the things. And they are ignorant. And they are not as educated as her. And all of like other girls tell us the era in which they used to live, most of the women were like that. They were silly and ignorant, most of the women. But Lizzie has something more of quickness than her sisters. But Lizzie was the only one who has quickness. Mr. Bennet, how can you abuse your own children in such a way? You take delight in vexing me. You have no compassion on my poor nerves. Now, when he is telling her the truth about her daughters, she just doesn't want to listen because she is so sure about her other daughters that they are better than Lizzie in some other ways, that she doesn't want to listen what her husband says. So it tells us a lot about both of their characters. One is an insightful person, and the other is just a surface level person. You mistake me, my dear. I have a high respect for your nerves. They are my old friends. I have heard you mention them with consideration these 20 years at least. Ah, you do not know what I suffer. But I hope you will get over it and live to see many young men of 4,000 a year come into the neighborhood. It will be no use to us if 20 such should come, since you will not visit them. Depend upon it, my dear, that when there are 20, I will visit them all. Mr. Bennet was so odd, a mixture of quick parts, sarcastic humor, reserve, and caprice, that the experience of 3 and 20 years had been insufficient to make his wife understand his character. Here she herself, Jane Austen herself, is telling the character of Mr. Bennet that he was so sarcastic. He has sarcastic humor. If someone is sarcastic humor, he must be very intelligent person, and other person must be very intelligent to understand that sarcastic humor. He was so reserved and caprice that the experience of 20 and 3 and 20 years had been insufficient to make his wife understand his character. He was so insightful, reserved, intelligent that his wife couldn't understand him in all of those years. Jane Austen herself is telling about the character of Mr. Bennet, sorry. Her mind was less difficult to develop. She was a woman of mean understanding, little information, and uncertain temper. Now she is telling the character of Mrs. Bennet. She was a woman of mean understanding. Her understanding was not very much. She never used to think deeply. Her information was very little. From other women, you hear something from other women. So her information was very little, and uncertain temper, and her temper was so uncertain. So, on one side, we have a character who is very intelligent, who is very calm, who is very reserved, who is very controlled, and on the other side, we have a character who is who has very surface level intelligence, who has very little information, and whose temper is also uncertain. When she was discontented, she fancied herself nervous. The business of her life was to get her daughters married. Its solace was visiting and news.